book has no business being 545 pages. Hi, my name is Kelsey and I read today. What did I read? I read Kingdom Keepers, Disney in Shadow. I'm just tired at this point. This series is such a trip. If you're new here, hi, my name is Kelsey. I used to work at Disney World and now I am strolling along through this series I used to read as a kid and it hasn't aged well. I want to give a shout out to Becca from Words and Other Malarkey for keeping me sane while reading this book. She's also covering the series over on her channel and I was just Snapchatting her this whole time. Her videos on these books are so funny and they're able to make points that I wasn't able to make in this video. So seriously, go check her out. Okay, so I didn't hate this book as much as I hated the last one. I was actually able to see some kind of effort put into this one. Like, that's such a theme with this series. Like, the story and the concept is there, but nothing is executed properly. I really do my best in these videos to try and make these stories sound engaging and keep you entertained. But this book is so convoluted, so boring. Just Pearson makes things way harder than they needed to be. I don't feel like anything happened in this book. And it's funny because I remember when I read this book back in like 6th grade, I was on this book for months and I never remembered what happened. Like, if you haven't been to Epcot, this book is going to be confusing for you. And just the story, the amount of notes I had to take while reading this book, astronomical. But this is the 3rd book in the series and we're at Epcot this time. I have a video on the first 2 books in this series. Go check those out and then come back to this one. Or don't, just watch this one. I can't stop you. It's a long book, so we're just gonna jump into it. Last we saw the Kingdom Keepers, we rescued Jez, we saw Chernobog get released, and Wayne was kidnapped by the Overtakers. This book opens with our characters running around Magic Kingdom at night looking for Wayne. They find nothing there. Wayne's not there, but there are some things in the scene that I want to touch on. While they were looking at Magic Kingdom, Stitch started chasing them because Stitch is an Overtaker, which it would have been cool. It was a cool idea, but it wasn't executed properly because Stitch is there for like a paragraph and then he's gone. Also, in the first sentence of this book, they call Maybeck Donnie, like that. His name's Terrence. I think Pearson just forgot his main character's names, but everyone's like, oh yeah, Maybeck loves being called Donnie. That was never established. He's just giving people new names now for no reason. So they realize that Wayne isn't in Magic Kingdom. He is gonna be in the other parks. But they're holograms, so they can't go to the other parks because they're not installed there yet. So the rest of the group, they want to contact the parks and just be like, hey, can I come to the park on this day? Go through the proper channels and then look for him, right? Right? Not Finn, though. Now, our group is having very valid concerns. They don't want to break the rules because their college fund, their parents are all depending on this job. If they get caught breaking the rules, they won't have this job anymore and they won't be getting that source of income anymore. So they're obviously worried. But Finn, being the way he is, he starts gaslighting everyone. He's like, oh, so you don't care about Wayne anymore, huh? Like, Finn, I'm sorry you're privileged enough to not have to worry about money. Your friends aren't even giving up. They just want to go through the proper channels. You're trying to break rules. Like, I hate Finn, and we're at the beginning of the book. The next day, we're at Finn's school. We're trying to debate what to do. Since this book is longer, Pearson tries to kind of show us our characters' school life, their home life, all this stuff, kind of develop the atmosphere of the book. But his version of that is including these 3 random high school bullies who are like greasy and they're like, I'm gonna beat you after school today, Whitman. Like, ow. They pick fights at Finn for no reason. And I mean, I want to fight Finn. Maybe it's not for no reason. He just plugs in these weird, dumb jock stereotypes, and it's just so irrelevant to the plot, and they just don't, it doesn't matter. We also have this mean, stereotypical, ugly orphanage owner who's like mean to the kids, like Miss Hannigan. She's there because after the incident at Animal Kingdom, Amanda and Jez aren't squatters anymore. They've been put into foster care. And while Amanda is venting about her concerns about being put in the system, how she might get split up from her sister, how she might never see her friends again, she might have to leave the state, Finn just brushes it off. Finn's like, whatever, your problems aren't too bad. Like, Finn. He also mentions how, like, all his friends, they all hate girls. Everyone hates girls, but Finn doesn't hate girls. He's just built different. Finn has such pick-me energy. Hey, while I'm on the Finn hate train of this video, there's a fun tidbit mentioned in this book that I was like repulsed by. Finn's favorite snack food is chips and ketchup. Like, I'm sorry, Finn, this and among other reasons are why you're being bullied by these dumb jocks. But yeah, we waste a lot of this book just dealing with these dumb bullies at his school that take away from the plot. So back on getting a plan together. Amanda and Jez volunteer to go to Epcot using one of their passes because the Kingdom Keepers can't go without permission. And Amanda and Jez say they don't want Finn or anyone else to come with them because those are celebrities, they don't want to draw attention, they just want to go in, do a clean sweep, and get out. Does Finn listen to him? No, Finn tags along for no reason. So Finn and Amanda and Jez are at Epcot and we notice a mysterious woman stalking them. So there's been this mysterious woman stalking them. They've noticed her outside their schools, outside their homes. They think she's an overtaker, so they split up. Amanda and Jez run straight for Living with the Land. And the lady follows them onto the ride. And they started freaking out because they're in the same ride vehicle as this crazy lady. So they jump out of the ride and run. Alarm sounds, emergency stop, the girls get in trouble, and they get a complete ban from Walt Disney World for a bit. That was super dramatic. I know we've all thought about jumping out during Living with the Land, but no one actually does it. So good job, that mission was pointless, and now Amanda and Jez are banned from Walt Disney World for a year. That night, Jess has a dream that Wayne is stuck at Epcot. So we know where Wayne is, that dream future thing is very convenient, and Finn has the idea that he should turn Amanda and Jez into DHIs. That way they can go on adventures with the rest of the crew. Maybeck doesn't think it's such a good idea to turn these two girls into DHIs. And we have a really weird conversation between Maybeck and Finn. So Maybeck is expressing his valid concerns on why he doesn't think Amanda and Jez should be DHIs. But he's gonna follow along with what the group wants because blah blah black sheep, he's a follower. And Finn goes, why do you do that? And Maybeck does, do what? Make a deal of pointing out we're different. And then Maybeck has a monologue that really comes out of nowhere, and this conversation is full of twists and turns. It's me, Whitman. It's like Phil being his brain, or Charlene being hot. I'm not saying that makes me special, but I'm different from the rest of you, and I'm not gonna dance around it as if it wasn't there. I'm African American, so what? Right? There's good parts of that, and there's bad parts of that. But I'm not gonna pretend I'm white. And I'm not gonna not talk about it just to make you comfortable. And then Finn says, I'll tell you something. I don't think of you as African American. I don't even see that part of you anymore. Hi, me from the future. I wasn't initially going to go into what I thought was wrong with that scene because I thought that I wasn't really the best person to discuss this. But I really do feel like I know an explanation on why I think this whole scene was just a problem. My first problem with the scene is that it's Pearson admitting that he only gives each character one personality trait, which is something I've been saying since the very beginning. But it's the fact that he's self-aware, like he's like, Charlene's hot, Maybeck's the token black kid of the group, and even though they try to develop Charlene in this book, it's not development. He just changes her personality and says, oh yeah, she's different now. And Maybeck is the one character in this book that has a personality. He didn't need to resort it to just being, I'm African American, that's my thing. But we'll work with that for a minute. This whole conversation started as Maybeck disagreeing with the group, thinking that Amanda and Jez shouldn't become holograms, but he was going to go along with it. But sure, we'll work with that. His race wasn't relevant to this discussion whatsoever, but we'll say that this conversation is Maybeck airing out his frustrations. So let's explore the fact that Maybeck is the only boy of color cast as a DHI because Disney needed the representation, and Maybeck feels exploited by that and also, as a result, outcasted by the rest of the group. So Maybeck's using this one disagreement as an opportunity to air out these frustrations. And rather than having an open conversation about that, Finn just goes, I don't see color, and then the conversation literally abruptly ends. Like, Philby's like, I found the clue, and then the whole plot resumes. That whole conversation stopped the plot of the book, just like I stopped this video to have this conversation. And I think this paragraph is just a really good indicator of how Pearson treats his characters, especially the characters of color and his female characters. It really feels like the only character he pays attention to is Finn. But yeah, I think this little rant about this paragraph indicates my feelings about the representation in these books. Please continue this conversation in the comments. Let me know if you agree with me, disagree with me. please just let's keep having this conversation. I'm gonna keep the video going. This was a complete halt. So after that weird conversation that put the book to a halt, we finally find out who the mysterious woman that's been stalking them is. She shows up to Amanda and Jez's orphanage and introduces herself as Wanda, Wayne's daughter. Also, Wayne decided to name her Wanda after Mickey Mouse's wand. All of Disney canon to go through and you choose wand? It's not even like a staple of Mickey Mouse's character. It's not even used in the Sorcerer's Apprentice short. But Wanda has been showing up to their schools, to their houses, looking for the right opportunity to introduce herself and make herself known. And Amanda calls out this grown woman for stalking children, and Wanda's response to this is, "I'm an adult, you're not." Like, lady, stop gaslighting these children. You were stalking them, and for what? Wanda gives us a very interesting reveal about Wayne. She reveals that Wayne has future seeing abilities, just like Jez, because his imagination is just that strong. This man has such a powerful imagination that he can see the future, but he can't even name his daughter anything else besides Wanda. Wanda also gives the girls a white cube that Wayne left behind as a clue. The kids get a lot of random clues in this book. Becca made a good point in her video where she said this book is like a giant escape room. Just clue after clue, but like, you don't want to be there. The cube comes into play later, but for now, Wanda is going to sneak all the kids into Hollywood Studios to the back lot so they can turn Jez and Amanda into DHIs. She puts them in High School Musical outfits to sneak them in, and Finn just has such a little fit. He's like, this is so humiliating. Like, I'm sorry you don't want to be Zac Efron. Like, I don't trust anyone who doesn't like High School Musical, and I guess that's why I don't trust you, Finn. Also, Finn is unnaturally mean to Wanda. Like, everyone's trusting her because she's given enough proof for them to trust her. But Finn is just relentlessly attacking this woman. Like, dude, she's trying to help you out, and you're just attacking her. I hate Finn. I hate him so much. So Wanda, along with Philby, the kid who conveniently knows everything about technology and Walt Disney World, turn Jez and Amanda into DHIs. So now these two girls are permanently a part of our team now. And we've also figured out how to project them into Epcot. So now all that's left to do is to figure out what the white box clue means that Wayne left behind. Oh! Now, during the process of trying to figure out what this white box means, we get a look into Finn's home life. And Finn's mom, she's a saint. She cooks him breakfast. She goes, "How was your day, sweetie? Did you have fun at school?" Finn's all like, I don't know. He like shrugs her off. And he gets super mad at his mom for just being nice. Like, he literally gets so mad, he like goes, "I could have bit her." Like, who just bites their mom? And then there's more. He goes, "You lose any more weight, Mom, you're gonna disappear." And then he references an Adam Sandler movie. Like, your mom is like cooking for you. She's being so nice. You come downstairs, you insult her cooking, you insult her weight, you reference an Adam Sandler movie. This kid is impossible. I hate him so much. Finn's literally the worst character I've read in any book, and he's just praised by the author all the time. This was probably included to be like teenagers, am I right? Ugh. But no, because Maybeck is shown to be so supportive and helpful around for his aunt. Charlene lets her single mother sleep in her bed whenever she's feeling sad. Like, everyone else is nice to their parents except Finn, because Finn's just a jerk. All the stuff I just said about the other characters' home lives, that's only said in like one sentence throughout this whole series. Like, we don't get to spend any time with any of the other characters. We just see Finn being a jerk to his mom. And it's also like, it's one thing if it was like character development, but he's never shown being remorseful for being mean to her. She's a rocket scientist, and she helps you figure out that clue, and you're just mean to her? The fact that she's a rocket scientist was shoehorned into this book just so like we could figure out that clue. But the white box opens and a drawing inside is revealed. Now, the boys think it's a sword because boys love violence, and the girls think it's a cross because girls are faithful, pure beings. The way our genders are separated in this book has not changed in this series. So we split up and Finn and Amanda go to the Lost and Found because we realized that, oh, we lost our garage button opener thingy and we won't be able to wake up if we don't find it. So they go there and the rest of the group just splits up. Girls decide to look in the France pavilion for a clue because France has a big religious exterior. It was dumb. They didn't find any clues. I think a gargoyle attacked them. Nothing happened. And I think now is a good time to talk about the attacks in this book. Because like I said in my Animal Kingdom review, the only thing Pearson had attacking them was animals, because Animal Kingdom doesn't have that many attractions. At the time of this publication, Epcot didn't have that many attractions where things could attack them. So we are narrowed down to test track dummies and cavemen, and Gigabyte, the snake from Honey, I Shrunk the Audience, is like their big villain that they have to avoid in the park. And I don't know much about the intellectual properties or how many characters Pearson was allowed to use, but I would have liked to see some more Overtakers and more Disney lore explored instead of having test track dummies on segways attack our characters. Like, even with the characters he has used, like Maleficent and Chernabog, they're not in this book. They're only in like 3 chapters. It's like a complete waste of potential, and that's what this series is. Like, in this book, we waste time on convoluted clues and a story we can't follow, rather than expanding the lore of the world he's created. Like, even the characters aren't developed. I've spent 3 books with these characters, and almost 1,000 pages worth of material here, and they're all still bland as oatmeal. But back to our convoluted story, as usual. So the girls found nothing. Amanda and Finn weren't able to find the garage button opener, so we have to wait until the park opens to find it again. So now we have Philby and Maybeck going to Maelstrom to look for a sword. This was a good scene. Again, with these books, there's a few scenes that I like, and I think when Pearson writes these books, he thinks of those scenes first and then tries to tie a plot around them. But the 2 boys get on the ride and they pick up a sword out of the stone, and they start getting attacked by gnomes jumping onto the thing. Like, goblins start attacking them. Maybeck gets bit by a polar bear. It's insane. Again, it only lasts like 2 pages, but it's a good scene. So we have the sword, and we realize it's an Irish sword and not a Norwegian one, so there was no way it would be on Maelstrom, which means it's a clue. And on the edge of the sword, we see a fly drawn on it. This is where it gets very obvious that this book was written by a white man in his 40s. Because the conclusion our kids come to about this clue is that it must be referencing the song The Fly by the Irish band U2. And there are pages of this book of these 14-year-olds hyping up U2. They're like, oh man, their music's so deep. Man, they really touch on like all these awesome subjects. It just sounds like a full promo for this band that no one really listens to. But we realized that this clue obviously has to do with flying, so our group goes to rides that have to do with flying. We send Amanda up to the Mexico Pavilion so she can be lookout, because we love sending her over to do nothing. Willa and Jez go over to the ride Soarin', which is a super funny pairing because they're both the most underdeveloped characters in this whole series. I can't even tell you one personality trait that both these girls have. At least with the other characters, they have one thing I can compare them to, but not these two. Like, even their conversations are stale. Willa just goes, they could have tried to make it girl-boy. You know, like, every girl had to have a boy with her to keep her safe. Like, come on, Willa. That's the extent of their conversation, is just talking about the boys they wish were there, and then finding nothing. They find nothing at the Soarin' ride, except they find like a projection slide with a seatbelt drawn on it. Really exciting stuff happening at the Soarin' attraction. Finn and Philby go to the ride Test Track because you go so fast on that ride, you feel like you're flying. Very interesting conclusion to come to, but we needed a way to get Test Track into this book. Philby has to fight some people to start the ride. Finn's in the car, he's looking for clues, and he gets stopped at the environmental chambers of the ride, and Maleficent comes out. She starts making it hotter and basically melting the car, trying to burn Finn alive, which, you know, good riddance. Maleficent doesn't do or say anything. All she does is heat up the car and then run away. But Philby comes to the rescue, and Finn and Philby start driving away. They jump out of the cars. They find nothing. Maybeck and Charlene decide to go to Mission Space because you're flying to space. I don't know. That ride is the worst ride on Disney property, and I will fight anyone who says it isn't. Maybeck is weirdly intimidated and emasculated by Charlene because she's stronger than him, and he doesn't like it that a girl's stronger than him. They get into the chamber, and it starts spinning unnaturally fast, like to the point where they almost died. And the ride stops, and once it stops, Wayne appears on the screen. The video of Wayne was triggered by the speed the vehicle was going because only a DHI could have survived that. Wayne really has a case of Dumbledore syndrome where he abuses these children under the guise of mentorship. Like, these kids have almost died a lot of times, and it's all on you, Wayne. I don't know why they're working so hard to get you back. But the video reveals that everyone has to be careful because there's a traitor among the group. When everyone regroups, everyone's super suspicious of one another, and when they go to rescue Wayne from the Wonders of Life Pavilion, they fail because they're too busy bickering. Not only did they steal Wayne, the Overtakers stole Buzzy. That didn't happen in this book. I was just trying to add some Disney lore that I think would have improved it, but you know. But Wonders of Life was a health-related pavilion that's been closed for ages, and it's finally getting refurbished into a Pixar Play Pavilion, which is gonna be really fun. So, Wayne is still missing. No progress has been made, and we're over halfway through the book. Don't ask me how they came to this conclusion. It was shoehorned in here because we realized we needed to wrap this book up. But our gang realizes that the Overtakers' plan is to trap all the guests with seatbelts while they take over the park. So they need to stop the Overtakers from putting everyone in seatbelts. And we have to rescue Wayne, which, from an evil villain standpoint, isn't a good plan. It's not, but whatever. We decide to confront our villains at the early morning rehearsal of Fantasmic, because that's the only part of the Disney parks where Maleficent and Chernabog could hide in plain sight. This scene is going to be hard to talk about, because so many little things happen that are just so irrelevant and just so dumb. But they're at Fantasmic, and let's talk about the love triangle that happens in the last 100 pages of this book. Throughout the book, Finn and Amanda have this really awkward middle school relationship. They kind of like brush hands, they stand really close to each other, they get really nervous, and Amanda starts getting super insecure about Charlene all of a sudden. Amanda and Finn get to chatting at Fantasmic, and I'm just gonna reenact that scene for you. Charlene likes you, you know. She's very beautiful, like a model. Yeah, she is pretty. Maybe you should go for it. Maybe I will. Maybe you should. Wait, but I thought that Never mind. You thought what? That we had nothing? Yeah, I guess we had nothing. This whole awkward fight where everyone's just uncomfortable, and Charlene doesn't even like Finn. Amanda's just super insecure. And they're painting her as this irrational, jealous type when like Finn and Amanda haven't even been dating. They've just been like staring at each other longingly. But that scene is the only time a love triangle is mentioned. It was just there to create some drama for Finn and Amanda. Meanwhile, Philby is getting ready to undo a trap door for the big fight they're gonna have, but then Philby starts feeling woozy and drunk-like. That's because in the real world, the parents have found their children's bodies in the Sleeping Beauty syndrome. And good on Pearson, you know, I get to see these parents cry and freak out about their children being stuck in a coma. Philby's parents call an ambulance and they send him to the hospital, and the doctors are injecting Philby with all these drugs, and that's affecting his holographic state. So while Philby's parents are freaking out, Finn's mom and the rest of them go to Epcot to look for their hologram kids. I don't know. They know this because in this book, these books are canon, so like, there's been rumors about them. I don't know. So Philby is messed up because he's on drugs. There's a whole fight between Finn and Maleficent. I don't know what everyone else is doing. But all of a sudden, Wayne appears on stage and he's tied up and he looks at them longingly and sadly, and fire burns Wayne to death and Wayne's dead. Kids watch their mentor die right in front of them. All this book, all their hard work was for nothing. They're so sad, except Wayne's not dead. Yeah, just kidding, that was a fake out. Wayne was hidden in a globe at Illuminations at Epcot, and everyone's saved and everything's good, hooray! There wasn't even a traitor among them. The traitor Wayne was referring to was himself. Don't trust everyone because you can't trust a hologram. Yeah, they burned a hologram Wayne while the real Wayne was stuck in a globe. So this book ends with the kids finding Wayne and this lovely exchange between Finn and Amanda. You realize we're outcasts, Finn said. Yes, I've been one my whole life. It's not so bad, really. You get used to it. I'm working on it. I can help you, she said. I'd like that, I think. But remember, I don't like girls. Yes, so you said. Just so we're clear on that. Perfectly. So it ends with Finn either coming out or being extremely sexist. So this was Kingdom Keepers, Disney in Shadow. I feel like a lot less happened in this book after I just read that all back. All we did in this book was find Wayne. It didn't even set anything up for the 4th book. So I really don't know what to expect. Maleficent and Chernabog are still on the loose. They didn't do anything in this book, and maybe they won't do anything in the next book. Yeah, there's no new threat, no new developments. Finn got even worse. The other characters still had no personalities. It was boring, but like I said, there were a lot more attraction-related scenes and character moments, so Pearson was trying in this book. It just wasn't executed well. Now let me answer the question all of you are asking. Kelsey, how would you do this book? Well, I would have made Figment the evil mastermind. He would have turned the park into chaos because that's what the Overtakers promised. And I'd have that one animatronic from Spaceship Earth help them out because she's just so powerful and can do anything. And I'd have the Epcot ball be the main love interest.
Who do you think the hottest girl in school is? The Epcot ball? Well, I like Melanie, and not just because she's pretty. I think she's really funny.
My version of this book would be about survival, not clues and U2 songs. But yeah, I'll give Pearson this. I don't know what to expect from the rest of this series. I never do. I know the next one is set in Hollywood Studios, and that park has just been gutted. So I'm very excited to see what that looks like. Will Finn stop being terrible? Will these characters get more than one personality trait? Will the plots make sense? Will I still have my sanity by the end of this series? Find out next time on Total Drama Kingdom. It's so dumb. I don't know how to end this video, so here's a photo of that one animatronic from Maelstrom. Rest in peace to my boy Maelstrom. Rest in peace, Maelstrom. It's a shame you never got to see Coco. You would have loved Coco.